everybody, welcome to the Comic Game Movie Show. My name is Deshaun, and today I'm here to review Disney's latest Disney World ride slash park ride turned into film, Jungle Cruise, starring The Rock and Emily Blunt, respectively. This is a movie that when I initially heard about, like many people, I was like, this sounds utterly ridiculous. I was like, okay, I don't know how that's gonna work. Then you hear about The Rock's gonna be in it. Then later you hear Emily Blunt's gonna be in it. And you're thinking, okay, you got The Rock, you got Emily Blunt, and the trailers, I like the trailers. I thought the trailers were entertaining enough. But even then, you still wonder, how good is the film gonna be? Now, Disney has made a reputation out of making their rides into movies. You got the Haunted Mansion. There's a couple of things. Races on Witch Mountain. Disney has made a couple of their theme parks. They're like rides into films. The most iconic and most successful being the Pirates of the Caribbean. That movie was so big and so successful that they changed the actual Pirates of the Caribbean ride to be more like an amalgamation of the old ride and the new movies. Like Jack Sparrow's a very prominent character, and he was a character made up for the movies, but now he's the biggest character on the ride. So Disney has been trying to capture that for a while now. Tomorrowland was another movie they made that didn't quite live up to, it wasn't quite as good as I hoped it would be. Like when I went to go see Tomorrowland with actually went to go on a date to go see Tomorrowland. I was hoping it was going to be great, and it ended up not being, but it had all the pieces there, but it just didn't live up. So they take another stab at it. You get The Rock, who's a mega star. You get Emily Blunt, who's who's one of the best actresses today. And the results are a movie that's old school. It's akin to The Mummy, Indiana Jones, and the original Pirates of the Caribbean. That's what's baked into this film. The negatives and the positives are all of that is baked into this film. First of all, The Rock and Emily Blunt are so good. They carry this whole film. And the film itself, the story and the structure and the way it's done, the villains, everything, the humor, everything is not like, it's nothing that's revolutionizing the world. It's not like that. It's not revolutionizing the world. It's not taking a huge, amazing, bold, step, like doing something crazy like that. It's taking it's an old school fun adventure movie. It's a movie that you can take the family to go see. It's one of those movies, it's a movie that will probably end up being one of those Disney classics. I believe it will be a movie that ends up being one of those classic Disney films that people go back to watch. Especially younger people who don't watch, the Pirates of the Caribbean or haven't seen The Mummy. This will be a movie they see and they'll remember it, and they'll remember the movie, and they'll remember it fondly. By the time I'm in my 40s, there'll be kids who watched this movie when they were like 10 who grow up and loved it, and they'll be talking about it. That's the kind of vibe I got off of this movie. It just feels like classic. It just feels like an old school adventure movie. Honestly, it was really just and honestly, so I see a lot of people taking shots at it for not being original enough, for not doing enough crazy out there things, just do more original things. But the thing that I enjoyed about it was that I was like, well, it's just an old school adventure movie. It's just an old and I was cool with that. I love it's like those movies, those old school adventure movies. The plot for Indiana Jones wasn't the most mind-blowing plot you ever heard. The plot for Pirates of the Caribbean wasn't the most mind-boggling plot you ever heard. It's about the stars, and if you are in with the stars, if you're in with the actors, then you're in with the movie. And Emily Blunt and The Rock were great. I enjoyed both of them. I enjoyed The Rock's Frank, this kind of shady, lies a lot, this shady guy who's seen a lot, who's a little rough around the edges. He's kind of what's the word I'm looking for? He's kind of cynical. This cynical, shady guy, a little rough around the edges, a little hard to really get. You don't know which part of him is real because he hides it all behind many different layers. And I very much enjoyed Emily Blunt's Lily. This woman who really wants to break out and break out into the world and do more, do stuff that was only for men. You gotta remember this movie takes place in 1916, so a lot of women weren't doing certain shit. And this woman who's like, I'm trying to break out and be an adventurer sure like my father, and you know, she's wearing pants, and people are like, and I love that there's a running joke about her wearing pants, because women didn't wear pants back then, and she just wants to go out there, and she wants to find, you know, find certain things and help the world. Like, I enjoyed them. I enjoyed some of the side characters. There's, like her brother. I enjoyed her brother. He was kind of funny, and a nice little comic relief. Even the villains, though I do agree, they probably didn't need to have so many villains. They probably could have just had one villain, and they could have got more time on that villain. It's seemingly the only reason that, because there's a villain in here who's like this German dude, and he's funny when he shows up, but seemingly the only reason he's there is to justify, I'm not sure why he's there, actually. Like, the only reason he's there is because he's a fun character, and to justify how Emily Blunt and The Rock's character, how Frank and Lily come together because they're running away from him. And to justify certain other aspects of the story. And then there's another villain who is these I always say conquistadors. I can never say that word right. Conquistadors. I can never say that right. But there are these conquistadors. Can't say that word. But you know what I mean. They're these, you know, Spanish conquistadors or whatever. And, like, they're fucking... And they're like, it's some shit from goddamn... It's straight up some shit from Pirates of the Caribbean with them being, like, blended in with different creatures and whatnot. And that story actually ends up being... There's actually a twist in the movie that I did not see coming. I actually didn't see it coming. When it happened, I was like, oh, one thing I do appreciate about the movie is that it does, whether you agree with it or you like the logic or not, they answer every question. Minor spoilers, at the beginning of the movie, out of nowhere, a jaguar shows up, and The Rock, like, fights it off. It, like, mauls him and bites him, and he's fine. He fights it off. And I was just like, that's ridiculous, dude. That's idiotic. What the fuck was that? No way. Like, I know The Rock's awesome or whatnot in the movies, but he fought off a jaguar without a fucking scratch on his body. He got bit and didn't lose an arm. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. But then it turns out it was his jaguar, and all of that was just a show, a play, some bullshit routine he set up so that the tourists in the area see him fighting this jaguar off. They'll be like, oh, I'll ride the boat with him. That's the guy who fought the jaguar off. And when the jaguar bit him, it didn't bit him really that hard, and it barely really actually bit him, which is why it didn't tear his arm off. And when they were wrestling on the ground, like, all of it was all set up. So I was like, okay. And moments like that happen throughout the whole course of the film. I go, that doesn't make fucking sense. Oh, okay. But why didn't that? Oh, okay. Every time I stop and go, that doesn't, okay, well, I guess you answered the question. Whether I agree with you or not, you answered the question. So I had a fun time with this movie. I really did. By the time the movie came to an end, it did get, like, near the tail end, it did get old school cheesy Disney. Like old school, like film Disney, like with the ending and how it, you know, like with certain, I'm not gonna spoil anything, but certain aspects of the movie are just like old school, like 1990s, like adventure Disney. But honestly, if you got family, kids, or you just want to go and see a movie, eat some popcorn and have a good time, I think this is one of those movies. Some people are being really hard on this movie, and I think they're kind of being unnecessarily hard on this movie. Right now, we're in a time where like the same thing happened to Black Widow, because like most people would be like, oh, it was a good movie, but like some people, I don't know what the hell their minds were like. This, like, they think this movie's like gonna be this insane out here crazy shit, and it's like, and it's like this movie's just like, I'm just here to have a good time, let's have fun, and it's like, that's not good enough. It's not good enough to just be here to have a good time. What's wrong with you? We want more than that. It's like, I had a good time. Me and Steph had a good time. Steph would give this movie an 8, and I would agree. I would give Jungle Cruise an 8 out of 10. Don't want to spoil anything for you. So if you wonder why I didn't really get into the plot details of it, it's because I want people to go see this movie. I had a good time watching it. I'd watch it again. I think it's going to be one of those movies that, you know, if it's got enough buzz around it, which it seems like it's going to be really successful with children, especially with audiences, with general audiences, it's probably going to get a sequel. And I don't know how they're going to do it, because they're, like, by the end of the movie, they're not in that jungle anymore, so we'll see. Anyways, thank you guys for joining the Comic Game Movie Show. Please remember to like, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. And have you seen Jungle Cruise? What did you think about it? Me personally, I enjoyed it. It reminded me so much of movies like The Mummy and the original Pirates of the Caribbean. And the combination, like the fact that Emily Blunt and The Rock are just so entertaining and so fun to watch in the movie, that it just kind of of carries the movie. I kind of felt like that about Iron Man 2 too. I was like, well, fuck. I mean, I might not like this and that, but Robert Downey Jr. is so entertaining to watch that I'm just like, well, I'm just here for him, and he's in 99% of the movie, so I guess I'm having a good time. Anyways, thank you guys for joining the Comic Game Movie Show again. Please remember to like, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Goodbye.